Hey everybody, gather round. HOS4A2's back in town. Talking horror, guts, blood, and gore. We know you're gonna scream for more. The podcast for the recently deceased. Monsters, mayhem, fear unleashed. It's podcast for the recently deceased. We are slashers, vamps, and goats at beast. Silver screens and cursed tapes, jump scares that will contemplate, special guests and spooky lore. Turn up the volume and lock your door. The podcast for the recently deceased. Horror nerds on your souls we feast. It's podcast for the recently deceased. So grab your steak and call a priest.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast for the recently deceased. I am the boss, HOS4A2, here tonight with Stephen Anthony, horror writer of comic books. You might know Dark Wake. He is...
That's that right? Nailed it.
Did I get it right? All right.
Yep. Dark Wake is the title at Dark Claw Studios.
Dark Claw Studios. And he's got... Is your second book out, or is it still...
Yeah.
Okay.
Peekaboo's out.
Peekaboo
I actually
is
have
out.
his head. I actually have his head right next to me.
Oh.
If you guys want to see it real quick.
Yeah, bring it out. Peekaboo is an excellent character.
This used to be in Nate's basement. Fun fact.
Yeah,
there he is. And the actual book looks a lot better. It's in my living room. I don't want to get up and get it and distract from this, but yeah, it's out. You can check it out at the website.
All right, Dark Claw Studios. Yep, check it out. Tonight we're going to be talking about Borderline, the new movie from Jimmy Warden, written and directed by, I believe he wrote Cocaine Bear, and then we've got the producers from Barbie are actually involved in this this project, starring Samara Weaving and Ray Nicholson, as well as Eric Dane. So, real quick, I want to... you know how we do this. We do our quick review, followed by our spoiler conversation. So real quick, I just want to say that this movie was fun.
Yes.
Absolutely fun. From beginning to end. Ray Nicholson absolutely destroys it. He has, and not to mention, he has his own acting style separate from his father. The only thing... reminiscent of Jack that you get from this guy is his look, his smile, his eyes from time to time. But his performance was phenomenal. This guy took this character and makes the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to take away from anyone else in this film, as Samara Weaving was fantastic, as she always is. Eric Dane, did what he had to do. He was the bodyguard character. Right. There was a surprise from Alba Baptista, who I've never seen before, and
me neither.
She was
whoa.
Yeah, she was amazing. We'll talk more about her later.
Yeah.
So, in summation, I would say fun, funny. The body count is low. It's more about the characters. I would say that the tension isn't even that high. If you're watching this movie from the same perspective I did, where I am along for the ride. The Jack Nicholson's character's name is Durson.
Ray Nicholson.
Ray Nicholson's character. Or did I say Jack Nicholson?
You did. You did.
I knew that would happen. He has a plan. And he is executing the plan with Joker-like precision. and I'm along for the ride. The viewer's along for the ride. And if you do that, you will have a blast. 7 out of 10 from me. Steven, what you think?
I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. I would push back a little bit on Ray's performance being... It's definitely... The movie definitely... needs him and definitely requires him. This movie is not this movie without him. You cannot swap him out and put somebody else in and have a movie that is just as good. You absolutely need Ray in this role to bring what he brought. However, knowing that he was Jack Nicholson's son going in, there were a couple moments I said, okay, that's very eerily reminiscent of Jack, but he's making it his own. So that only happened once or twice, but that's just me delving very, very deeply into every single detail of every single thing that I watch. But I thought the movie was the same thing, a lot of fun. I read some reviews where people were not scary or whatever, and I'm like, probably because you need to like believe it, suspend your disbelief, and maybe value human life. And when and when you do that, and when you put yourself into these scenarios that these characters are going through, it's like, yeah, very scary. So I enjoyed it immensely. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10.
All right, excellent. With our little summary reviews out of the way, we are going to move into spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen the movie, pause, go watch the movie, come back, check out what we think as we deep dive into Borderline. Okay, let's talk about Alba Baptista real quick.
We can do that.
Yeah, so Ray shows up with this like a ragtag group of crazies, because he breaks out of the mental hospital to get back to marry Samara Weaving, Sofia, yeah. Because in the beginning of the film, he is hallucinating her bodyguard as Sofia, and he proposes, and the bodyguard says yes because he's placating this crazy person, so he doesn't have to fight him or call the police, and he's just trying to get him to go away. But 2 years in a mental hospital later, he breaks out because he's got to get married to this woman who he is engaged to in his mind. And now he's got a plan. He's got a group of people together. He's going to kidnap some people to help make sure it all happens. Just for a subplot, they throw Sofia in a kind of rom-com-esque. She's so popular and so famous as a pop star that she's just meeting a bunch of guys on like a hit list to see if she's compatible with them.
Costner was on that hit list.
Yeah, and the last name on the list, but after the basketball player, who is the character in the film, is Robert Smith from The Cure, and it even says Robert Smith from The Cure as the name, because this is the '90s. It's also important to remember that this is the '90s that this movie is set in. So there's no cell phones, and when the power goes out, the phones don't work, and all sorts of other plot devices just kind of canceled out. And you don't need a silly reason like somebody collecting the cell phones at the door to to make it so this guy can do what he's going to do.
Cell phones ruin all horror movies. So yeah,
absolutely. Right.
We will never see another really good horror movie set in the any time period past 1997.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're right. I mean, even flip phones with T9 texting, like you'll get the text out. 911's coming.
See, I think that's actually a good time period to put a horror movie in, because you imagine, I used to do like 44444 just to say hi. So like there's a killer in the house texting that shit.
Yeah, T9 is like, oh man, it was the worst. I remember having a sidekick, and that was like, oh yeah, I've got a keyboard now. So sweet. All right.
Sidekick, is that like we're going to go down a whole?
That was the name. That was the type of phone. Like a keyboard like flipped out, and it had anyway.
It's like a BlackBerry.
Alba Baptista played a French.
Alba Baptista, what kind of cell phone do you use?
She plays this French person who was in the psych ward with Ray, and she's crazy. You don't know how crazy or why, but she's a little. Right. And she's like super cute about it though. Like she has this like this very just like cute and innocent kind of insanity about her. And they meet an older gentleman, and you don't really know what happens until they flash back later, and then she finally does. She encounters the security guard in this like wacky kill scene where she
Yeah.
she shoves a flashlight in his mouth and she's like hitting the flashlight, and then he pukes all over her, and like it goes in her mouth and all
Yeah.
over her face, and she, like, the actress doesn't even flinch, and she starts laughing, like,
Yeah.
not even maniacally, like joyfully.
Joyfully.
Yeah,
She's very
yeah,
happy with it.
yeah.
It was a bonus.
Yeah, yeah. Then he gets away, and they fight a little bit more, and then she gets the flashlight back in his mouth. She drops a TV on his head. Awesome sequence, right?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty awesome. And what is her name in the movie? Is it Penny?
Penny's her name. Yeah. So
Penny is you're not supposed to fall in love with her, but don't judge yourself if you do, because it's very possible to happen.
yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, considering what happens later at the piano. But let's go back to the next time Penny sees Dewerson, Ray's character.
Sure.
I don't know how subtle it was supposed to be. There, so much about this film was paying close attention to the dialogue, looking at the facial expressions of everybody. My favorite thing about the movie, before I go into this quote, is how everybody in this movie is playing it straight except Ray Nicholson. Ray Nicholson lives in this fantasy world he's created. He's completely committed to the fantasy. It is his reality, and everybody else is like, yeah, this guy's fucking crazy. Like, even Penny, who is crazy and broke out with him, has a conversation with Sofia where she says,
his elevator
doesn't go all the way to the top. And Sophia's just like, I've never heard that expression.
Right, more of Samara Weaving's genius responses.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that's a lot of the charm and a lot of the comedy of the movie is how committed Ray is to Dewerson. And I hope you agree when you see it. So anyway, the next time Penny sees Ray Nicholson's character, and once again, I don't know how subtle it was supposed to be, she kind of, under her breath, says, I got to kill somebody.
Okay, so it says that when she's sitting on... That was actually one of the confusing things that confused me in the movie. She's sitting on the trunk, and Ray opens the door and sees her, and she very happily says, I got to kill somebody.
Yeah.
And then she claps.
Yeah.
And she's very gleeful about it. But who did she kill?
The security guard.
Okay.
Yeah, because the guy
not to give away anything, but there's a surprise. What she did at that old man's house. And, right. She did not kill the old man. So okay.
Yeah.
So pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah. It flashes forward. It flashes sideways. It does a little bit of juxtaposition with time to tell the story.
Every once in a while, but they put like nice captions on there where it says 1 minute before, back to present. I thought it was really cool.
Oh, that cop was amazing. That cop was amazing too, right?
He definitely deserved his cameo.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. I loved the big hulking bruiser type that he broke out with. That would have been JH. That's what they called him. And I also love at the end when he's like, I wish the credits had Dewerson's first name. Is it Joe or John?
I don't know.
We'll just keep calling him Ray, I guess. He's like,
I can look it up, I suppose.
He's like, Ray, that's not Sofia. Sophia's right there.
Right.
So like even his crazy sidekicks aren't in line with his fantasy, his psychosis. They're their own kind of crazy, but they reject Ray's.
They're not rank and
fantasy.
file.
Yeah.
They're not rank and file with his whatever. And so when they see something that just goes counter to reality, even on IMDb, I'm there right now. He plays Dewerson.
Dewerson, yeah, that's what I said. I wish the credits would say because I'm on IMDb as well.
Okay, well, we tried.
We're gonna call him Ray.
I mean, yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay, now I know what tab you're on. That's convenient.
Now, Ray Nicholson, I mean, he literally he crushes it so much in this movie. I can't say enough good things, and I'm also at the same time so excited for what he's bringing in the future, right? Like
Mhm.
he was in Smile 2, which was an excellent film for 2024. He had a bit part, but he was so good. Samara Weaving, obviously, Scream Queen. She's been, I don't know, she's got half a dozen excellent horror films under her belt. Ready or Not 2, I think, is coming out this year, which I'm very excited to see how they decided to sequel that in story, seeing as how everybody dies at the end except her. So seemingly, like, the demon doesn't really have a host anymore.
I think the answer is where there's a profit to be made, a writer will find a way.
Yeah, no, that's very true. That's very true. And these writers are good. The Ready or Not guys. They've done some other stuff. I can't think of off the top of my head, but they're very good.
But Ray Nicholson, for someone who I never heard of before, I didn't even know Jack had a son. Um, this is, I wouldn't be surprised if this was like his breakout role. If we look back on his career 10 years from now and we look at Borderline and we say, okay, this is when people started to notice him. And this is when doors started opening for him even more than what they are now. Completely on his own merit. I think part of him did this performance to just put to bed or rest any charges of nepotism before they even got a chance to manifest and materialize.
Oh,
His acting in this role is phenomenal.
yeah, absolutely. Like you can't even whisper in nepotism after you see this movie. Like he deserved all of it. Like
Yeah, it's going to be
deserves
compliments.
everything
It's going to be, he got this look from his dad and he got this technique from his dad. And this is the benefit of being grandfathered in or fathered in. Just that latent talent that he picked up, that other people would not have had access to. It's going to be a compliment when they mention that he's Jack Nicholson's son.
Oh yeah,
Because of what he was able to bring. I don't think, I think part of it, and it's very nuanced at parts, but a lot of what makes this movie great is those unseen things that Ray brings because of his exposure to Jack. Let's put it that way.
sure. I'll pick out one of my favorites right now. He gets ready by taking like a bubble bath, and
Love that. I love that sequence.
and so now he's in his tux with his red tie. He looks great. His hair is still kind of wet, but for the next 15-20 minutes of the movie, every time you see him, the back of his hair has like a straight line of hair just sticking straight out.
He's got an alfalfa.
Yeah, an alfalfa right at the back, but coming out of the back of his head. And it's like, did he do that? Did makeup do that? Like, who did that? Because that is understated and actually brilliant.
Well, see, for me, that's how I knew. I was like, there's something wrong with this guy. He's very well dressed, but he's not clean shaven, and his hair is way too long. And I kind of like the twist in the beginning where they said, we hate it when we start, at the end, but that's the way it is. And when you watch it a second time, if you watch it very closely, like you did, it's like you're paying attention to the details. That's what gives a heads up. For me, it was a device like, okay, this is going to keep my attention going in. I did not necessarily know that was a fantasy,
Right.
From jump. I didn't know it was a fantasy when he was talking to Eric Dane's character, the bodyguard. What's his name?
Oh, at the beginning. That would be Belle? Belle.
Okay, so when he had that conversation with Belle, I was kind of like my grandmother when she would yell at the Wheel of Fortune contestants to buy a vowel. I'm yelling at Belle like, hey, this psychopath has a knife.
Right.
I get it. You're a nice guy. You're a good guy. But what are you doing? Because details like Ray's hair, Dewison's hair, stuck out. And it's like, okay, this guy, he's not somebody who wakes up and gives a shit about that detail. That's not something
Right.
that concerns him.
Right, absolutely. He doesn't think about this this giant cowlick sticking out the back of his head. Like it's just like, and you're like, yeah, this guy looks good put together. I'd probably have a conversation with him. Oh, he's fucking crazy. Crazy. Right. So what we get in this movie is we get essentially the same scene twice, which I thought was really nice, where when he proposes to Belle and he gives him the ring, which is invisible, and then he stabs him.
Sure.
At the end of the film, he's marrying Rhodes.
Yes.
In the dress, and that's when JR's like, "That's not Sofia. Sofia's over there." So Samara Weaving's in the stands watching the wedding.
That was awesome.
So just so amazing, and she even like what I like about another thing about this is the anti-trope, where like she even stands up and goes, "No, he can't be there. This is all because of me. Blah blah blah. I should be in his place. I'm the real Sofia." And he looks at her like, "Shut the fuck up and sit down. This is my wedding. This isn't about you. I'm so sorry, Sofia." As she says that to Rhodes,
he's actually kind of polite about it because he doesn't want to ruin his bride's special day.
Special day, yeah.
He's like, "Ma'am, I already spoke to you, and please don't make me have to speak to you again. But this is not about you.
This is not about you." Which
and back to it.
Yeah, which in in your standard Hollywood fare, she would swap with him at that point.
Sure.
Right, but this movie is being true to the fantasy, true to Ray's character. He's the main character. He's the protagonist and the antagonist, which I find, very interesting. And once again, is where all the charm from this movie comes. Is literally just watching Ray.
Right.
So he marries Rhodes, and at the end, when he kisses Rhodes, he gets stabbed in the exact same spot that he stabbed Belle.
Yeah.
This is the fantasy. The fantasy. He's crazy. He's on repeat. He's got a cycle. It's gonna be the next Sofia he's gonna get close to. He's gonna have that intimate moment, stab probably in the same spot. He's gonna keep. This is what he's going to do over and over and over and over again. The watchers of this film get to see it happen twice because we only get to see this certain slice of time in this character's life.
And I think that that reaction is what brings a good amount of the horror, or an extra layer of the horror, for somebody who is a thoughtful content receiver or content watcher. That brings an extra layer to it that you may not get the first time around that he's on repeat. So for me, I thought he was honestly just being charming, because psychopaths are very charming. I thought he was being very charming to Belle in the beginning as a way to just weasel his way into the house.
Right.
But when you step back and you look back, like he is on loop, that he's just going to do this over and over and over again. He's in a Groundhog Day, as it were.
Right.
Or his own, to a certain extent.
And he fully hallucinates that the person is Sofia, so it doesn't matter who it is. It could be anyone.
Yeah, he tells his friend, his confidant, that, why are you saying something that is just completely not true? Of course this is Sofia.
Right.
Which is one of the funnier lines in the movie when is it JH?
Yeah, JH.
That says, this is a man.
Yeah, and I think it says black. It's like,
and he's black.
Like...
they're both blonde, and that's about it. That's where it stops.
Yeah. Yeah, once again, we haven't touched on this yet, but the movie is not your typical horror film. I wouldn't even really put it in the genre of horror. I mean, you could call it horror comedy. It's definitely like a black comedy. I've heard people say thriller. I don't know about thriller either. For me, there was very little suspense, and that's not because all I do is watch horror movies, because I definitely... immersion is my deal. If I can't get fully invested in a film, then I can tell it's bad right away. Mm-hmm. And I was fully immersed in this film.
Oh yeah.
I was just riding along with Ray in his fantasy merry-go-round, and just kind of like, I was watching him in scenes where he barely had any dialogue, and he would just his mannerisms, his facial expressions, and I'm laughing out loud at the subtlety of of parts of his performance. Yeah, okay, it got wacky and madcap from time to time, especially, when Penny killed the security guard, or when Sofia sets Penny on fire, even.
Yeah, that's we got to stop and talk about that for a second. What an absolute, and it follows the duet at the piano.
Right. So let's start with that, I guess. Right. So Penny has to have some motivation for being here, right? And she seems to also be kind of an obsessed fan.
A little starstruck.
Yeah, but to a different degree than.
Yeah, she's not in love. She
Dorson.
just she's and we don't know, or I didn't know that she was a singer at that point. And when she starts singing, I had the exact same reaction that Samara Weaving had. Like, holy shit, this girl can sing.
Yeah.
Just because somebody's crazy and killed somebody doesn't mean that they don't have an excellent singing voice.
No, that's very true. So they duet. It's All Coming Back to Me. Is that the song?
Yeah, by Meatloaf.
Is that Meatloaf?
That's Meatloaf.
All right.
Yeah.
And they're.
I hated that song when it came out.
They do an amazing job. I don't know if if Samara was actually singing or if that was a dub, but they were fantastic. And then of course they fight.
Yes.
And Penny loses and is almost going to get set on fire, and Sofia stops herself, and she goes, because Sofia doesn't set people on fire.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because if you didn't, I was going to bring that up. I thought that was okay. I was like, and she's almost Sofia also has a relationship with Sofia where she's talking about herself in the third person,
right?
Where she's using her celebrity name, which for all we know is not her actual name.
That's true.
And, so she's saying it like you run into any celebrity, so-and-so doesn't do that. Will Smith doesn't slap people.
we all know better.
Well, most of us are catching on.
Well, there was a moment between her and Rhodes where Rhodes is just like, this will never work. You're too celebrity. You're too rich. Like, she's like, you're rich too, and he's like, rich is a state of mind. And
I thought that was a great conversation, though.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. She has a candelabra with where the candle they're her face, like it's so ridiculous.
And there's a great scene where they set that up where he's coming across the candelabra and he sees this girl that he cares about, he has feelings for. For him, it's not just a one night stand or a hit it and quit it. He's got feelings invested, and right up until he sees that candelabra, like, okay, what am I dealing with here?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what
I'm a basketball player and I got money, but where she's at is a completely different place.
Oh yeah, she's like multiple houses, multiple, whatever, and she can't keep it all straight.
Yeah, that's why she can't find the circuit breaker.
She has no idea where it is, right? How do you not know where your circuit breaker is? I don't care how much money I have. I'm going to know where my circuit breaker is.
Whenever I move into a new house, a new apartment, whatever the situation may be, yeah, that's going to be the first thing I check out. I guess, though, you get your second, your third, your fourth, your fifth house. Fifth house.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it was Belle's job to flick the breakers.
I did not see. Yeah, no. And where the hell is that guy going? Some guy breaks out of a hospital and you're going to go check on your family? Like, worst security guard ever 2.0.
Well, yeah, because I think the aunt called.
Okay.
And then he runs. That's when he leaves. Is when she calls. She's like, lock the door. Don't let anyone in. I'll be right back. And that's when he left Rhodes in charge. But, of course, he had an unknown amount of time to, quote-unquote, case the joint when he attacked Belle in the beginning. We don't know how long he spent in that house. He could have left.
Well, he told Sofia that he was there a billion times.
Yeah. he could have, left a door open or, a window unlocked or something and just hoped it was still unlocked 2 years later. He could have, he could have found secret. He could have set stuff up, we just don't know. And And since he's already in the house, he's obviously really good at what he does.
Yeah, and the movie being set in the 90s is very important because if it was anywhere close to today, it's like, okay, how does this person not have a security system that, some kind of AI thing that just boots this guy out the second he tries to get on the property? So that's another section where technology would have killed this movie.
Oh, absolutely. So real quick, I did watch a handful of reviews from other, YouTubers and whatnot before tonight, and they were talking about like Belle's the main character, and obviously Samara Weaving has top billing, and she's on the cover, and she's a scream queen, and you might just pick this movie up for Samara, and she is amazing in this film. But this movie is about Ray Nicholson's character Durson from beginning to end, and if you...
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You said Ray Nicholson. I thought you said Eric Dane, and I was like, wait, what?
Oh, that's what other people think. They think Belle's the main character because it does kind of follow him as well with the kid and his family getting involved. But when you get to the end and you get to watch 3 minutes of the camera on Ray Nicholson's face as he's being driven away in a limo as the credits roll and they move off to the side, and all he's doing is emoting. It is literally brilliant. I don't know how many nice things I can say about Ray and this performance. He and if you watch movies like I do and you're fully immersed and you're fully there for this sequence, he starts off in a limo in his tux and he says forward to the camera, "I have never ridden in a limo before." And for the next 15-20 seconds he's elated, he's smiling, he's looking out the window, and then the smiles crack into sadness and he almost breaks down in tears, but then he gets it back. But while this is all happening, the color of the black leather limo is changing with some, I would say you couldn't notice that it was CG, but obviously it's got to be done with a computer. It's turning into like a brown, and then like another maroon color is somewhere, and you start to get the picture that he's in the back of a squad car.
Right.
And maybe that is him also coming back to reality as we're seeing the black fade to brown and his happiness fade back into sadness as he knows he's going back and he's going to have to break out again, or if he's going to
reality is breaking in.
His reality is kind of coming back to him as he's being taken away, and that's when you're getting to experience this from Ray, as well as like the credits as the movie comes to close.
Right, but it's very immersive, and it creates you're no longer an audience member, you're now a participant in the movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Because now during that entire scene, my mind was just thinking, what is he going through? And you felt it, and I wanted to know exactly what he was thinking, which way his neurotransmitters were firing, what exactly is happening for this guy. And that was, again, absolutely possible due to Ray Nicholson's performance. He enabled that to happen. Absolutely.
I mean, I have got nothing else to say. Like, the movie was good. Like, a 7 for me is a good movie. And Ray Nicholson's performance, once again, any other actor, I don't think, and he's brand new on the scene. Obviously, he's legacy, but like, right. I don't know anyone his age, anyone in this generation of coming up actors who have the chops. That role was written for him.
I mean, who else could have done it? A younger Johnny Depp, maybe. But yeah, the age bracket that you're looking at, I don't know, Colin Hanks, perhaps. But yeah, you would need a phenomenal actor to do exactly what he did. Because if at any point Ray was acting instead of being Durson, the movie very easily could have fell apart. So he carried a tremendous weight on his shoulders to carry this weight as a vehicle to get it done.
No, absolutely.
To do what he did.
Absolutely. This movie, without the performances from Ray, Samara,
Mhm.
I'm going to put Alba,
Mhm.
Jimmy Fells played
Mhm.
Rhodes, even Patrick Cox as JH. Um,
Mhm.
Without the performances, the movie definitely falls apart, and I think is lacking. Um, but this group of actors, the direction that was taken, they were able to really deliver like this dark comedy, black comedy. Like it is a funny movie. You will find yourself laughing at things you shouldn't laugh at. It's
Yeah, which
just
is what I do in real life, so
yeah,
it's great.
yeah, exactly. I mean, for horror fans, it's not anything special, but but if you're a regular Joe and you're like, man, I want to laugh at some inappropriate shit,
Mhm.
um, this
You
movie's
almost have no choice.
yeah, this movie's for you. Once again, I gave it a 7.
I give it a 7.5. Yeah, I'm still there. Part of me wants to give it an 8, only because this isn't a movie that I would probably have watched on my own. Um, if you describe this movie to me, and if somebody did me the disservice of giving it a synopsis, or this is a dark comedy or a comedy horror, I no, that would my prejudice would have kicked in and brought that down to like a 6. Looking at this movie for what it is, though, I give it a 7.5 with my prejudice baked in. Without it, I could see this movie. You look at Samara Weaving's performance, you look at Ray Nicholson's performance, you look at the writing throughout, you look at the humor throughout, and the seriousness that everybody maintained throughout the entire movie so that it just worked. I'd say the movie could very easily be given an 8.
Very nice. I'm Nate Roberts, the boss, HOS4A2. With me this evening, Stephen Anthony from Dark Claw Studios. And that's it for this episode of the podcast for the recently deceased.
Nate, thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
No problem, Stephen, and we'll see you next time.
Cool.